except through the modifications of his body and the ideas thereof. When, therefore, the mind is able to contemplate itself, it is thereby assumed to pass to a greater perfection, or to feel pleasure. And the pleasure will be greater in proportion to the distinctness, wherewith it is able to conceive itself and its own power of activity. Corollary. This pleasure is fostered more and more, in proportion as a man conceives himself to be praised by others. For the more he conceives himself as praised by others, the more he will imagine them to be affected with pleasure, accompanied by the idea of himself. Thus he is himself affected with greater pleasure, accompanied by the idea of himself. Proposition 54. The mind endeavors to conceive only such things as assert its power of activity. Proof. The endeavor or power of the mind is the actual essence thereof. But the essence of the mind obviously only affirms that which the mind is and can do, not that which it neither is nor can do. Therefore the mind endeavors to conceive only such things as assert or affirm its power of activity. Proposition 55. When the mind contemplates its own weakness, it feels pain thereat. Proof. The essence of the mind only affirms that which the mind is or can do. In other words, it is the mind's nature to conceive only such things as assert its power of activity. Thus, when we say that the mind contemplates its own weakness, we are merely saying that while the mind is attempting to conceive something which asserts its power of activity, it is checked in its endeavor. In other words, it feels pain. Corollary. This pain is more and more fostered if a man conceives that he is blamed by others. This may be proved in the same way as the corollary to Part 3, Proposition 53. Note, this pain, accompanied by the idea of our own weakness, is called humility. The pleasure, which springs from the contemplation of ourselves, is called self-love or self-complacency. And inasmuch as this feeling is renewed as often as a man contemplates his own virtues, or his own power of activity, it follows that everyone is fond of narrating his own exploits, and displaying the force both of his body and mind, and also that, for this reason, men are troublesome to one another. Again, it follows that men are naturally envious, rejoicing in the shortcomings of their equals, and feeling pain at their virtues. For whenever a man conceives his own actions, he is affected with pleasure, in proportion as his actions display more perfection, and he conceives them more distinctly. That is, in proportion as he can distinguish them from others, and regard them as something special. Therefore a man will take most pleasure in contemplating